Hi, this is Katie McCoy, and I'm the product designer for Package. Today I'm going to be taking you through a walkthrough of a UX scorecard that I recently completed for the Package group. But first, a bit of context about what a UX scorecard is. So a UX scorecard is a process to identify any usability pain points based on a set of heuristics. UX scorecards can be conducted either with external users or through a heuristic evaluation. In this instance, I conducted a heuristic evaluation and scored the experience against the heuristics that you see on this screen, with particular focus on onboarding. So the scenario is this is a new user to the package registry feature in GitLab. So to determine the scenario that I'd be scoring, I worked with my product manager to identify a job to be done. So the job to be done that we chose is when I'm investigating a dev dependency, I need easy access to metadata and historical information related to a specific dependency so that I can deliver a consistent and stable experience to customers. After selecting the job to be done, we identified that the persona completing this job to be done would be Sasha, the software developer. And the specific scenario that Sasha is following, the scenario that I scored, is you are collaborating on an existing project in GitLab that has package dependencies. To troubleshoot issues related to a specific package, you need to see historical information about the package, such as who published it and how it was published. You also need to see information about the package, such as version and any error messages related to the package. And the tasks to complete the scenario are, so there is a pipeline failure, and Sasha needs to investigate why the pipeline failed, notices that it had something to do with the package. They navigate to packages and registries and then packages. They find the package that they think caused the failure and investigate the package. And what they're investigating is things like history, version, branch, to see if they can determine the problem. So if I navigate to my test project, in this instance, we're going to make some assumptions that this project was already set up and Sasha is joining this project as a software developer. So the package registry has already been set up and authenticated to. And this also assumes that Sasha has some awareness about the package registry, either when they were onboarded to this project, they were informed that there are package dependencies in the GitLab package registry, or they determined it from the source code of the project. So starting the scenario, Sasha has triggered a pipeline, and if I just navigate to the pipeline, we see that the most recent pipeline has failed. So I'm going to investigate this. And I'm going to look at the stage that failed, which is called all tests. And this is a little bit intimidating, but basically what I need to do here is kind of scan through all of this information. So I can see that on line 61 we have the error, and I'm going to kind of scan backwards from there, and there's something here about a syntax error. And then on line 44 I see something about a node module. So I know node refers to npm, and here I can see a scoped label, gitlab.org, and then a jokes package. So what I take this to mean is that something on the index.js file has had some kind of failure. It's not super clear, and there's not really like any call to action. So there's a couple of things I could do here. I could dig through the source code and kind of investigate the jokes package and see this file and see if I can determine what has caused it to fail. I could try to run my project locally. But I see here that it's from the GitLab private registry. So what I'm going to do is just have a look there and see if I can get any more information that might be a little bit easier to process here. So what I need to remember is the name of the package, which is jokes-package. And unfortunately, that's just something I'm either going to need to copy and paste or remember, because I don't know if there's many packages in this project. So I'm going to navigate to the side menu and I'm going to look at the package registry. And here I can see that there are 17 packages. There's quite a lot of them, and they all look quite similar. So I remember that my package is called jokes-package, but it seems like there's quite a lot of versions going on here. And there's some information about how the package was published, but what I was really hoping to see was perhaps like some indication that there was a pipeline failure that had something to do with one of these packages. So just to make it a little bit easier for myself, I'm going to filter the list. Cool, so I can see that there are 7 entries for the jokes package, and at first glance they all look quite similar. Like the bold text all is the same, but actually the difference here seems to be the version. What's a little bit confusing is that the versions seem to be out of order. And from that job log, I'm pretty sure that it didn't specify which version the package was, but I'm going to guess that it was probably using the latest version. And if I kind of manually scan, I can see that the latest version is 1.6.0, and I can also see this interesting tag, experimental. So I could, at this point, double check in my source code, like my package.json file, that it is 1.6.0. But let's go with the assumption that that is the version of the package that my project is using. So I want to click into this and see if there's a little bit more information why this package is tagged experimental. Cool. So I'm not really seeing any information here. What I would have liked to see would be maybe a commit message. Like when this package was published, there was probably a commit, and there might be a little bit more information about why this is experimental. But instead I'd see a sparse history, installation instructions, and I don't know what registry setup is. There's not that much information about what that is. And then here I can see that I can manually download the file, but that's not what I want to do. Just have a quick look at other versions. Well, this is nice because it actually has the versions listed out in order. That was kind of what I expected on the package registry list. So I have a hunch that maybe I shouldn't be using the experimental version of the package in my project. So what if I just do a little trial where I move the package to one version back? This doesn't have any tags against it, so let's investigate this. This is interesting. So this has a lot more history. I don't understand why the 1.6.0 didn't have this history, because this has exactly the kind of stuff that I was interested in, such as the commit. I'm just going to have a quick look at this commit. I'm going to open that in a new tab. Cool, so I can see a commit message, and then I can see that the pipeline has passed. So if I go back to this, I'm going to guess that this might help me solve my problem. And luckily there are some installation instructions. So I'm just going to copy this and I'll just open a new tab in Terminal. And I'll get into my project. Cool. So now I'm in my project and I'm just going to do that, paste that install instruction. Cool. What's a little bit confusing here is it says plus gitlab.org jokes package 1.6, but this is actually 1.5. So that was a little bit unexpected for me. So what I can do now is Google how to install a specific version of the package, but I think I know how to do that, so let me just give it a try. So what I've done is amended the installation instructions I copied and specified the version that I want. So let's see if this works. Cool, so now that I see that it has installed the package 1.5.0, so I'm just going to double check that in my source code. So I'll just open this in Finder and I'll open the package.json. And here I can see that in the package.json there's the dependency that references the GitLab registry at the correct version. So just check. So what I'm going to do is commit this and push it up to the remote, and that will automatically trigger the pipeline again. Cool. So I've just pushed that up to main, which I know is going to kick off a pipeline, so I'll just check in my pipelines. It might take a minute. Cool, so I see that I have a pipeline running, so I'm just going to click into that. And I can already see that it's passed. Let me just have a closer look. Cool, so I can see that in my test I'm actually running my app and that the job succeeded. So what was a little bit tough about that, if I navigate back to the package registry, is it's not immediately clear how this list was sorted, and I needed to kind of manually remember in my head the name of the package, filter the list. This list was also not sorted in the way that I expected. I had hoped that I might be able to see a commit or any other kind of history about why this was tagged experimental. And then when I investigated an older version of the package, the history was a lot more rich and linked to pipelines and commit messages, which gave me a bit more information about the package. And I wasn't sure why this had this, but the 1.6.0 did not have it. And in the end, I did get my pipeline to succeed, but it took a little bit of guesswork. And in a realistic version of this scenario, I'd have to probably dig through the source code of my project a little bit, when actually I would have hoped that GitLab could help guide me to debugging the pipeline a little bit more. So that was the scenario that I followed for the UX scorecard. I've given this experience a 2.5. So there's a grading rubric that you can look at a bit more in the handbook page. So this experience, I had to, especially as a new user, I had to kind of have knowledge about a lot of areas in GitLab myself, and there wasn't that much hand-holding, and it took quite some guesswork to get things going. So that was the UX scorecard for investigating metadata in dev dependencies. I will link to my UX scorecard issue in the description of this video. Thank you.